Hi, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome back to session number 7 of Dragon Age Resurgence, our Season 2, Dragon Age Season 2 tabletop campaign. We have an episode for every day of the week now. Very exciting. And for the first time in a couple sessions, we have everybody here, everybody present.
Yay!
So
Yay!
that's super exciting. And we can move forward because a lot's going to happen. My question for this session, hopefully, is a fun question. I've asked this question before in previous campaigns. I want you to share some childhood memory that your character had when they were young. It doesn't have to be anything deep. It doesn't have to be anything life-changing. It could be something very simple. Like, for example, I think an example that we had in Mass Effect was Darren was saying how he remembers going fishing, going on a fishing trip with his father. So it's, again, it doesn't have to be groundbreaking or nothing in depth, but I just wanted to get an idea of something that is still vivid in your character's mind from your childhood. It can be happy, it can be sad, it can be frightening, it can be something that made you angry. Whatever emotion you think is an emotion that you sometimes go back to from your childhood, what would that be?
For Andreia, I would say the big memory that has shaped her, aside from meeting Hali, of course, which was a big deal, and she loves you, but it was when she was 7. She and her tribe were all together in the night, and partway through the night there were explosions, and they could hear, they could smell the gunpowder of the Qun, and the Qun invaded and they slaughtered the Talvashoth tribe that she was a part of. All of the children were stolen away to be inducted into the Qun, but Andreia was protected by her mother, who hid her and died in front of her. And since then, she wandered in the woods until she could find somebody, and some humans found her, and they brought her to Halieserre. But so that's been a big thing for her. Yeah, so it's her. I think that would be hers.
I'm glad you explained that because that fills in a blank, back from the first session. So thank you for adding that blank for us.
Sure.
It's kind of part of this backstory that I never really elaborated on, but probably the birth of Esbjorn when he was a baby cub.
Aww.
He was born on her 13th birthday, and so the augur had deemed that, and he was the first white bear that had been born in a long time, because normally it's the big brown ones. And so he deemed that their fates would be tied, and that they would have a really strong bond, and he would be super influential within the hold. So that's how their bond sort of instantly formed. They loved each other. Little baby cub.
I'm gonna have to say, even though you said you don't have to do a life-changing moment, but it's one memory that sticks out in Cedric and plays, well, not really over and over again, but it keeps him up sometimes, is the death of his mother.
Yes, explain
that. He wasn't really sure. He didn't witness the killing, but he was the first person to find his mother, who was murdered by a mage. We don't know if it was a blood mage or just a rogue mage. But kind of from that moment on, his life altered to training to be a Templar by his father. So when he first walked into the scene where his mother was killed, it was fear and sadness, but I think he's kind of translated that to hate and anger, and very almost an untrustworthiness to most mages that he runs into.
So I can imagine, like, before Andreia came to live with them, Hali's always been an orphan. So I can certainly imagine that during her previous friendship with Fergus Kuzland, I can certainly imagine some sort of moment where, you know, I totally imagine Hali all over the place and, okay, can you please stop ripping your clothes and come down for one, stop climbing stuff and so on and so forth. I can certainly imagine maybe in the wake of one of those, like one of the days to honor Fergan's younger brother, probably one of the first ones she was conscious enough to understand. I can imagine some sort of scene where, you know, Fergus and she just like have a quiet moment and like maybe he's the one that takes the time to, you know, say, you know, every moment's a blessing. So I think it might be Fergus who put her on that path to, you know, see the good and bad. Even the horrible things are something to acknowledge and honor. And, you know, it's part of life. Isn't it amazing that we're all still alive? Where isn't every moment a blessing? So let's run with that.
Okay.
Thanks, Fergie.
Thank you, Fergie. Wherever you may be.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll never see you again.
Never.
What are the odds?
When Theo was 14, it was about 9-10 dragon, that was when Branca was named Paragon. And Theoben's parents took this opportunity to teach Theoben about the Paragons, and they encouraged him to make his mark on history and to help the Dwarven race. And that inspired him. He was only 14 at the time, but he attempted to make a Dwarven fertility potion that would improve fertility rates in Orzammar, because you know the dwarves in Orzammar, they have concubines, and breeding is kind of a big thing for them. So yeah, he had this idea that he'd do that and he'd be famous and renowned and be able to elevate to paragonhood. But he was still a novice. He was still only 14 and didn't really know his way around potions. And he ended up making a potion that just made the body parts used for that really sore and itchy. And not
sore and itchy. Okay.
Yeah. And what happened was that it infuriated a lot of dwarves because it actually sold really well.
Oh my god. Wow.
He he was given an ultimatum by King Endrin. He basically said that he could keep working on the potion, but they'd revoke his vendor's license and he couldn't sell to the public anymore. Or he could stick to the craft that he was just starting to pursue, which was poisons, which was a seller that actually did as it was supposed to, and he could keep selling. But he'd have to give up on trying to be experimental. So he picked the latter and pursued his craft and kind of left his dreams behind. But that was his, as I say, first actual failure at something. So that kind of sticks with him.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad we got to hear a bunch of things that I don't know would be brought up in normal conversation that I think is interesting information about your character. So I'm glad we did this exercise. Okay, so everybody, when last we left off, what I would like to call the H-bomb was dropped. The Hugh bomb. Hugh bomb was dropped. Do you want me to start with Theoben and Halieserre or Hugh and Andreia? Who do you want me to start with?
Hugh!
Or
Yeah, let's do Hugh, because everyone's going to be waiting for that.
That's true.
oh my god.
Are you sure you want to start with Hugh? Okay.
It's gonna be a
Don't
game
break our
changer.
hearts, heart, please. Don't break my heart.
Do it.
Andreia, Hugh has his back to you. He doesn't notice you there. And, he has a very, you know, poker face expression on his face. I mean, it's more like he's concentrating because he has this mirror in front of him. It's just like a hand mirror, and he has a paintbrush. And like I said, he's tracing over. It almost looks like this brand on his forehead. What do you do?
Hello?
You call out his name, and Hugh immediately looks startled, like he didn't expect for anyone to see him, obviously. And then he turns his head towards you, and again, without breaking his expression, his expression, he says, "Andreia, you surprised me."
Yeah. You obviously didn't expect anyone to be happening upon you, yes?
Honestly, I did not. Can I help you? He says. He still has the mirror in his hand, and he still has the paintbrush on the other hand.
Well, if we could have a bit of a chat real quick. I'm all for doing touch-ups on your makeup, but I'm curious as to what you're doing right now.
Ah, yes. I suppose an explanation is necessary.
That would help. At least I wouldn't be so confused.
I needed to touch up the brand on my forehead because it is not actually real.
But does it make you tranquil?
It does not. I am still tranquil. But I was never given the brand.
Yes, but is the paint what makes you tranquil?
It is not. It's just normal paint.
Then why paint it on?
It makes it easier to explain. If I was walking around behaving the way I did and I didn't have a mark on my forehead, it would take a lot of effort. People wouldn't fully understand that I was made tranquil, but not through the chantry. Not through the circles.
Really?
Yes.
The chantry didn't make you tranquil?
He shakes his head. They did not.
Okay, out of character, I know of ways that's possible because of some things that they said in other... About, like, the dream guy.
You the player, don't.
And would Andreia know of any of that?
You would have to roll me a cunning... what would that be? Is there, like, a religion? I guess religion?
They have religious lore, I think.
Yeah, religious lore.
14.
You wouldn't know. Right now, the only way, according to your knowledge, that anyone can become tranquil is through the rite of tranquility that the Circle of Magi do.
I don't mean to pry, but how?
He says it was self-inflicted. Though, when it happened, I was not trying to make myself tranquil. That was not my initial intention.
Magical mishap of some sort?
In a way, yes.
All right. Well, if you're a tranquil, I don't think anything changes, yes?
It's not the tranquility itself that places people in danger. It's... The reason why I self-inflicted myself with tranquility was not because I was trying to make myself tranquil. I was trying to kill myself.
Oh, no. Were you having trouble controlling your magic, Hugh?
I wished it to be gone. The magic that I possessed was a curse. I suppose that by killing myself, the curse would be lifted. Instead, I became tranquil and the curse was lifted anyway.
I understand that. I can't imagine anyone who understands what it is to be a mage who would choose the life of a mage. Are you content as you are?
As content as a tranquil can be.
Well, that's very content then.
But don't misunderstand me, he says. I am very much aware that the only reason why I am content is simply because of what I am. I wish I could tell you how I would truly feel given the situation, but since I have the incapacity, I am incapable of telling you anything but the fact that I am content.
But you wish to continue on?
I wish to continue on as long as it helps my comrades. That is the only reason why I have stuck around for as long as I have. If this changes matters, I can leave.
No, of course not. You're still you, yes?
He nods. Yes, I would like to believe that I am still myself, as I always have been.
Yes. Oh, then you've been more than helpful to our group. And particularly Cedric.
Cedric, he says. Are you going to tell Cedric?
I don't see why you wouldn't tell Cedric. It's not something I would have to tell him, but the reason I see no point in not telling Cedric is you are tranquil one way or another. Either way, he will understand that.
There is a reason why I am not sure it would be best if Cedric came to me about this.
Why?
Because I'm incapable of lying to him. And added on to that, I respect him too much to not tell him everything. So my choices would be either to lie or to tell him everything. And I would not be able to lie to him.
Hugh? Does what you know endanger Cedric?
No, it does not endanger Cedric in any way.
Then why
But if he were to ask me about this, I would have to trust him with the information that I would tell him.
Does the information... what reaction do you think would come from Cedric?
He would not like what I would have to tell him. What he decides to do after that, I would be unable to predict. I suppose it depends on what he believes needs to happen based on the information that I would tell him.
I think you should tell him. I think you should talk to him. And the reason I think you should talk to him is because he is a grown man and he should be allowed to make his own decisions regarding himself.
But remember, it has nothing to do with him personally.
And why would he react so poorly? Is it because of mages? Because he's been proven in the dwarven line, at least, to be relatively subdued when it comes to that. I mean, you saw him. He didn't shut down the place, and he didn't call in the Templars.
Depending on what he does with the information, it could place innocent people in trouble.
You don't think he would hurt innocent people, do you?
He thinks for a moment. He would not.
Then what is the danger?
I ask, but I will not, force you to give him any information. But I'm just curious, why Cedric wouldn't put innocent lives in danger? That's why he became a Templar in the first place. That's what they do. They protect innocents. That's the idea, anyway.
It's hard to explain. As a tranquil, I don't have the same feelings that I used to have. At the same time, that doesn't mean that we cannot have friendships. That does not mean that we cannot have, I guess, what you would call an attachment with certain people. Cedric was the very first friend I had in a very long time. I suppose there's still a part of me that would be not as content if he saw me differently.
I understand that. And that's fair. Has he asked you about your tranquility at all yet?
He has not. I am not sure if it is out of respect for me, or if because he is merely afraid.
I'm not sure. But maybe, time being, you can keep it secret unless he asks, and then tell him?
That might be the best idea for the time being. If he ever asks, yes, we can talk. But only if he wishes to.
Yes. Very well, Hugh. Your secret is safe with me.
I did not mean to deceive anyone. I did not think at the time that it was really deception. I am tranquil. Like I said, the fact of that I wasn't made tranquil by the chantry, I thought didn't matter.
I don't think it does either. It's all right, Hugh.
I will stay for as long as you believe that my services are helpful.
Prepare to stay for a long time, then, Hugh.
I'm smiling, but he's not.
Okay. Goodness, that's so sweet.
Thank you, Andreia.
Of course. And if when you do decide to tell him you want, someone to be with you, I'll stand with you. That's fine.
That's very kind of you. Meanwhile, Theobin is hanging out somewhere in the crossroads, and Halieserre, you're walking with Owlet. Owlet's kind of clumps as you walk. I wouldn't say it's like a thud, because again, he's not a large tree. He's about as big as, I would say, he's about as tall as, say, back in Dragon Age Origins, Shale. Maybe a little bit taller than Shale.
Okay.
I would call him an adolescent. If you were to refer to a tree as an adolescent, that's what he is. I mean, his hormones are raging. He's looking for a date. That's why he's going on this trip. He's looking for a date.
Yeah, best wingman ever.
And as you're clomping along, he's staring around, and he says, "I did not realize the world was so gray, at least in these parts."
This is one of those places in between, my friend. I don't know if you remember any of the stories that old Tangerine might have mentioned offhand. You do tend to think a lot.
I do enjoy his stories, yes, but I don't recall a place like this before. Not through... What is that thing you said, that magical door we went through to get here?
The Illuvian.
The Illuvian. He tries to pronounce it, but kind of botches it a little bit.
Yeah. Close enough, my friend, yes.
You humans have very strange names for things.
Not human, I don't think. Either that or very Arlesian. I don't know. This is a strange place, and while my journeys have not taken me to a place like this before, it has thus far proven safe.
And it's that point that you see, in the relative distance, you see a ginger-haired dwarf. What is the ginger-haired dwarf doing, Theobin?
He looks very deep in thought. He's kind of absently kicking the ground he's walking on. He's pacing. He's occasionally glancing towards the mirror that he can't get into.
Okay. I see a child of the stone, Halieserre.
Yes, you do. Let's go say hi, shall we? And she'll start forward.
You'll start forward. It's at this point that the leaves are rustling a little bit, and you see that Owlet is sort of, Acorn up in the branches is sort of like, has started to snooze, has started to fall asleep.
Not for long.
I'm sure. Anyway. I'm going to say that, Theobin, you can probably clearly see this.
I think I noticed the tree coming.
You noticed the tree coming with Halieserre next to it.
Yeah, Halieserre is looking really comfortable with having a stroll with this tree.
Well, our friends seem to have acclimatized to the crossroads.
Yes, they have. How are you?
Fine. We are going to Orzammar, are we not? I am merely waiting by the mirror.
Yes, we will be going to Orzammar. I was concerned.
Why would you be concerned? Because I've apparently killed a person?
I feel it very safe to say that since meeting each other, we've all taken a life. I'm not concerned for lives you might have taken. I'm concerned for you.
With everything that's happened, the anvil and all this, I feel like I've lost my home, my people, my daughter. I've lost my friend. I'm not a Templar, I'm not a mage, I'm not an Avar, and I'm not trained by the Chantry. I'm not cut out for adventures. What do I even have to offer the group? I aim high and I fall.
Let me tell you a story.
Ooh, story! And it's at this point that the tree, sits down.
It is a story of a slave. Many, many years ago. One of Kenna's ancestors, potentially. Without getting preachy, one person, one soul, a slave, not a warrior, not a mage, a slave, the lowest of the low, managed to not only escape her captors, not only managed to gather an entire people around her, not only managed to unite the races, but then proceeded to start a new movement for freedom. You don't have to train your entire life to make a difference. You have to make a choice to make a difference.
I'm trying.
Good. Keep trying. It isn't... An old friend once told me that if you shoot for the moon. Even if you shoot high and you fail, you are still reaching the stars.
Seems like a waste of a perfectly good arrow.
The tree goes.
Sometimes it's the heart, and sometimes it's the hand that releases it from the bow.
I think I understand what you're trying to tell me, Halieserre.
While Halieserre is telling this story, and when she reaches the end, when she's talking about the bow, and she like leans in towards you, there's a faint sound of smoldering smoke, and her body very lightly doesn't like go up in flames. I'm not talking like flame on, you know. I'm not talking about
Small favors.
Yeah. I'm not talking about Johnny Storm. I'm saying there's like semi-transparent flames like coming out from her body like an aura, and then it dissipates very quickly. It's subtle.
Curious. You didn't notice that?
Did she notice that?
She did not notice that. She did not notice.
You
Subconscious.
Your absolute agreement with what I'm saying. Well, I did now. Good job.
No, the fire.
There's no fire.
There was fire. You had a fiery aura. Seemed.
I saw it. I thought you did it for effect, for the story, Halieserre.
Yes, we're shooting at the moon with flames now. Yeah. No, I think it's to do with the bracer.
Probably. Though I'd love to say it was the fire of my conviction.
We can tell the others that. Sure.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
You know, maybe it's not too far off. It seems that these things react to our emotions, our moods. For better, for worse.
For better or worse. I've not had much of a time to commune with my newfound flames. Perhaps in the morning with my prayers.
Do you think we could combine them?
Combine
I
our
seem to-
abilities?
Yes, I seem to be able to produce acid and have earth-related abilities. We have fire. The braces are linked to each other.
Certainly. I am very willing to give this a try. Unfortunately, I have not really seen many effects of such a combined powers. I feel that you, as an alchemist, would know the results perhaps better than I, but I'm very willing to try.
He's gonna look at Owlet and kind of be like, maybe you want to step back. Fire tree.
Yes, my friend.
Fire and Owlet, we don't mix very well.
No.
We don't want anything to happen to our new tree friend.
I will step over here, and with that he will
Thank you.
clomp.
And she's got this little smile anytime he walks. He's cute.
Okay, so you guys gonna try to both activate your bracers together?
Let's do it. It'll be fun.
Both of you roll a magic roll, please.
Oh, crap.
Tell me what your results are.
Yeah.
11.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be funny. Oh, 11.
Okay. You guys will focus in a specific area at the same time. Both of your grace bracers start to glow, and then all of a sudden, in the area that you guys were focusing towards, I would say with an 11, I'll say that with an 11, roughly, give or take, probably a little bit larger, a yard by yard or meter by meter square you effectively produce molten rock, lava, magma in a yard by yard square, and that's within 11. You believe that such a thing could be very damaging to something.
Yeah, that's what Theo's going to say. That could be very useful.
And very dangerous.
Of course. That's why we have to keep our emotions under control, make sure it doesn't flow without our willing it. But for enemies,
I agree.
Both of you roll a magic roll for me again.
Go
8.
on then. 7.
Now roll me a cunning roll, please. 17. I'm gonna say that Theobin, you believe that such an ability could be taken a step further, such that if you both try to focus on this patch of magma again, that the two of you could form the magma into some other object, allow it to cool, and basically turn into some sort of igneous structure or sculpture.
That would be handy.
Yeah. So Theo would relay that information. It makes logical sense. I mean, if we can
That could be very useful.
we can start doing this. Can you imagine what we could do?
We could do a lot. I think we need to have a long discovery session circle. I think we need to talk with the others.
Preferably away from the crossroads. We could destroy a lot of mirrors, and I've already got 7 years bad luck, so...
If you have 7 years bad luck, it's because you gave you 7 years bad luck, not mirrors. Though I will admit, maybe you should not shoot them all.
Well, if you say so.
Thank you.
It's yeah. I think Theo would just say it's curious to think what might happen if we all used our powers.
Indeed. Again, I think we need to sit and experiment.
Yes. But first, I suppose I have to head back, don't I?
Well, you don't have to, but it is better to try to face danger together.
Yes. I think I'm more afraid of Andreia than I am Orzammar, but...
You can hide behind me if you must.
Nope, I have to be a man. I have to sort this out. If I can.
You can.
Let's go.
Let's go. And she'll offer a friend arm on the way. She'll offer her elbow.
Those two are so besties.
Oh yeah, totally. BFFs. So yeah, when she returns, it's gonna be with Theo on one arm and Owlet on the other.
Tree on the other.
Yeah.
Let's head back, friends. And when he says that, you guys will link up on the arm, and then to your surprise, the tree lifts both of you up into the air and plops it on his shoulders. Aww. And he just starts walking with the two of you on his shoulders, which is probably reminiscent of the Halieserre Andreia moment on the tree, up at the tree, too.
Whereas Theo's clutching onto this tree, looking up. Help!
It's all right, we won't let you fall.
Yeah.
While you're up on the tree, the acorn, one of the eyelids of the owl acorn opens it, looks towards your direction. He turns his head almost a complete 180, or 360, almost a whole full 360 towards Theobin, who is clinging on for dear life. And you can just faintly notice that maybe the owl snickered a little bit before closing its eyes back up again and trying to get back to sleep.
It's worse than Kenna.
Kenna, meanwhile, you are with Esbjørn, and Esbjørn is... he seems to be begging you for food.
I know, he's so hungry. I don't know how much time has passed since the last session, but I have one of those berries left. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And your berries were used the last session, by the way.
Yeah, guys.
So they were put to use.
Cool. Yeah. I go ahead and I let him eat the berry.
At this point, Connor walks up to your direction and says, "Don't believe him. I just fed him maybe about 30 minutes before you guys arrived."
Did you? Are you sure?
Esbjørn kind of puts his head down, whoops, oops.
Busted.
Yeah. Pardon? What do you have to say for yourself? You overeating again. Winter has passed. It is time to shed that weight. Build that muscle.
Esbjørn looks up at you and he tries to give you the puppy dog eyes, the bear cub eyes. He tilts his head to the side.
I look at Connor what do you want me to do? Look at him.
Connor says, "You tried to do that to me as well."
Did it work?
Honestly, yeah, that's besides the point, Connor says.
Irresistible. Unbearably adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, him and I, we bonded a bit while you guys were out, didn't we, boy? He says as he pats his fur, and Esbjørn kind of gives a little bit of a as if to agree that.
Well, I'm glad you both got along. I was worried about, both you, your safety and all.
He's in good hands. He says, "I'm kind of used, to be quite honest, I've had my share of furry friends in the past."
Oh?
One particular one, he says, was quite an interesting guy, actually.
How so?
Well, he wasn't a bear. He was more wolf than bear, but yeah. Anyway.
You befriended a wolf?
Sort of. Werewolf.
A what?
Werewolf.
Good answer.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty surprising. I actually don't know why, as a kid, I wasn't even more scared of him. But he was a nice guy. I see him every now and then.
He was. The werewolf was a nice guy. Okay.
Well, yeah, I hope he is. He's currently living in Kirkwall right now. He's the bodyguard of the Viscount there.
Quite
and his entire family.
Would I recognize the werewolf that he's talking about now?
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Oh, that werewolf. Right. I've heard about him.
You've heard of Plim, really?
Well, everyone's heard about the heroes.
Yeah. I didn't know if any of them remembered, the rest of us. Of course they remember Maximilian and Gwenaël and Delwyn and Lealden, but I didn't realize that they really talked much about everybody else on the ship, I guess.
It's a good story. And all the companions too. You all played your part.
I wasn't really much of a companion. I kind of just was the person that everybody had to babysit, unfortunately.
Well, you've got your own story now, hopefully, if we all live.
Yeah, ready to, ready to get out there and, as in out of this mirror, to adventure and make my own story.
Well, if we could all just get along, maybe we'd be able to go places. I don't know, this group, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I kind of sensed a little bit of tension when you guys came back. I think you guys were... I think the Theobin kind of stomped off or left somewhere, and then Hugh disappeared, and then something about discussing over whether or not you guys are actually going to have Violetta tag along. Actually, how is Violetta? I don't really know much of her.
I think she's fine. They're a little suspicious of her because they don't understand her magic, but I think as a person, she's great.
Well, certain types of magic can be pretty darn creepy. Believe me, I would know.
Cedric would nod. He'd just be nodding like,
Yeah, that's your scene, Cedric.
I guess, yeah, Cedric, if you want to be in this conversation, you can. You can overhear this conversation.
Yeah, he wouldn't actively be in it. He'd just hear that part. And just be
He's
like,
sitting there
"Yep."
back there nodding, like the hype guy. You.
But I guess the important thing is, you know, while you were with her, like, did she seem like a decent person, or I don't know, would you trust her?
I would. I can't speak for the group, but so far she's given me no indication of otherwise. So I don't know. I think her magic is fascinating. I don't think it's creepy, but they do.
How about you, Cedric? What do you think about this girl? Yeah, he says.
I believe that we need to keep our guard up. Halieserre seems to have made some kind of arrangement with her. And if Halieserre is willing to put that faith in her, then so will I. But I will not lower my guard down in front of her, if that's what you're asking.
And what's with the tree? Or, excuse me, Sylvan. Sylvan is what they're called, I know.
That's one of Halieserre's friends. I guess she gets around.
Wow.
Cool.
Nicely put.
And I thought the group of friends that I had was a bit of a motley crew. And we had a werewolf and a golem in our group.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I've met him. Just saying.
It's at this point, by the way, that Andreia and Hugh return.
Don't go wandering off, mate. And Andreia, sorry.
We can't go anywhere.
Still.
Just took a stroll. I mean, walk up to any mirror and touch it. We can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you can't be plotting.
Well, then follow me around.
Hugh says, "It's all right, Cedric. Andreia was looking for me. I had wandered off, and she was making sure that I was all right."
Oh. Okay, then. Are you all right?
I am quite content, Cedric. Thank you for asking.
Good. Thank you for looking after Hugh, Andreia.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's so awkward, I can't help it.
Connor kind of leans towards Kenna, you know, during this whole exchange between Andreia and Hugh and Cedric, and he whispers to Kenna, saying, "What was that all about?"
Who knows? Lowlanders. I don't know. This group.
You'll see in the distance a tree with two humanoid creatures on its shoulders clumping towards you as Halieserre and the rest of the group arrive.
Halieserre, the owl's mocking me.
It does that. Acorn is a fantastic companion, but every now and again you need to pay a price.
It seems like kind of a jerk.
As I said, fantastic companion, but sometimes you have to pay a price.
Acorn is actually a rather formidable fighter.
Yes.
He's an owl. How does he fight? Just peck at him?
If you're lucky, you'll never have to see.
Oh. Alright then. Sorry, you're not a jerk. Gonna shuffle over this branch over here.
When the tree arrives, he will again take his large branches and lift the two individuals off of his shoulders and carefully place you down on the ground.
She will give Owlet another hug, and she will take her place among the others.
So everybody's back, Connor says.
It would appear so.
Well, we probably should figure out what we're doing next. I heard that there's some things we need to decide first, though.
Yes. I wanted to get a final answer on what I should be telling Violetta. Again, I cannot divulge her secrets, but she has good reasons for wanting to join us, and she understands that secrets, and here she looks at Andreia, are meant to be kept, or else there will be prices to pay.
All right.
I do not... She is not family to me, like, and here she, like, pats Owlet. But, again, when the Maker sends allies, perhaps we should be more thoughtful and less dismissive.
Very well.
But, and here she turns her eyes to Theo, this was a decision that everyone had to make. So, your voice needed to be heard as well.
I don't judge people on what they are, only what they've done. And she has thus far done no wrong to us. So if you
Agreed.
would like to ask my vote, I would say that we give her a chance. Watch her closely if it satisfies the rest of the group, but there's no need to exclude her at this point.
Very well. And she'll look around the group one more time. She didn't have this conversation when you were here, Sam, so she will also look to hear from you.
I've got no problems with her. I think she is a useful ally. I think she's strong, and we would be foolish to turn her away.
Very well. And she remains quiet one more time in case anyone else has something to say.
At this point, I think Razake will pipe up and say, "Just give me signal and I kill."
She's so great. She's so great.
Halieserre approves, +1.
Just +1, really?
It's a darkspawn. She has to get over her own stuff.
Fair enough, yeah.
Funny, the tree says, "That's something that I always tell Acorn." Just give me the signal and I'll kill.
Sounds
Maybe
like
never have
Acorn
to see
can,
that regret.
sounds like Acorn can handle his own.
Acorns is the brains of this operation. The Owlet admits.
And you're the heart, my friend.
If you look up at the tree, the owl is snoozing.
Theo's just got to kind of, okay then.
The brains needs its beauty sleep. So with that decided, before I go and fetch her, is there anything else we need to discuss first?
Aye, there is. She's looking a little frustrated and kind of nervous, and she's gonna go and stand in front of the group. So, there's been a lot of infighting with us, and it seems like, I don't know, I've been quiet for a while now, and I've been listening and watching and trying to figure out who you people are because I don't trust you. But after that last attack, we could have died because we don't work as a team. And all of this, secrets over here and people wandering off and being angry, it's stupid. We were given these, and she's gonna hold up her bracer. And whether you believe that reason that we were given it to him was gods or fate or luck, good or bad, yet to be determined, somehow we were chosen for each other, and so that we could, accomplish whatever it is that we need to do. But we need to get our heads out of our asses, because we are no good to the dwarves, or our friends, or our family, or even ourselves, if we don't start working as a team both in and out of battle, okay? So I'm going to take the first step, and I've been building up the courage to do this, because it needs to be done. I'm going to trust lowlanders. I'm going to trust outsiders with my greatest pride and shame, and that's who I am. How I really am. And she looks really, really nervous, and she takes a step forward. My name is Kenna Catherine a White Veil Hold. I was the daughter of the Thane of our people, the leader. I was the proud sister of 2 younger twin brothers, and I loved my home in the Frostbacks. But when the Blight came, I failed. I didn't succeed in my task, and because of that, my home, my family, everything is dead and gone, except for Esbjorn, who without him, I would have died years ago, and I bear that guilt every day. She sort of takes a breath, like she was just rushing that out really fast. So there, first step taken, hard part done. You don't have to spill your guts. I don't need your secrets. But we do have to trust each other. So, and she sort of holds her bracer and powers it up, kind of, and puts her hand in the center of the group. And she goes, look, we have to put aside our differences long enough so that we can start to trust each other, work together, and do some real good in this world with whatever we're supposed to do. So let's have each other's backs. Let's work together. Finally, are you with me?
I'm with you. Theo,
And I.
bracer in.
Yeah, she will power up her bracer and put it in too.
Are you willing to show me, show each other that you're willing to try, Cedric? Try that.
As I was saying an hour or so ago, however long, yes, I think we need to work as a group as well. I think you're brilliant, Kenna. Yes, you have me with you as well. I have never had a chance to be some part of something bigger than me, and I would like to. And I'll do it too.
Come on, Templar.
Cedric will kind of look at all of you and say, all right, give it a go. And he'll put his non-bracer hand in.
Okay.
Killjoy.
She scowls.
Cedric.
Come on! Aegis of the Faith!
You got called out by Halieserre, you gotta do it.
Dude, I'm a priest. Can't say no.
What's with all this use of magic? Oh god, he'll power it up and kind of like,
It's like, ah. Is that all 5 of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're Power Rangers!
All 5 of you, roll a magic roll now, please.
Oh my
gosh.
So this is what happens when you guys bring your bracers together. There is a big rush of energy that you can feel surging through your entire bodies, and it ends up releasing and burst out of you with a very powerful looking attack that seems to circle around your companions, so it doesn't harm them.
Oh,
So
good.
this is it. So what effectively happens is, depending on what your element is, in a 2 square radius around each of you, it bursts out from wherever all 5 of you are, and it deals, well, this particular case, it would deal 10d6 of damage within a 2 square radius around you, and that's dependent again on how much you guys rolled. How the damage is how you rolled. So basically, there's this area of effect attack that doesn't hit friendly characters that you can use by holding your action until all 5 of you. Once all 5 of you hold your action, you can basically release your action at the same time to release an energy surge that just attacks everybody around you. So it does a lot of damage, but you have to basically do nothing. You basically can't do anything except move. You can still move, but other than that, you can't do anything else but hold your action. And then it just bursts out of energy.
That's cool.
10d6.
Well, hopefully
my
that
gosh.
is a good sign.
The way that I'm calculating the damage for right now is depending on what your roll is, divide it by 5 rounded down, and that contributes 1d6 to the damage. So if you rolled a 9, you contribute 1d6. If you rolled an 11, you contribute 2d6. So it depends on how well you roll. When all 5 of you give me your values, then that's how much damage your energy burst does. Have any of you guys watched? Have any of you guys seen or played Chrono Trigger? Just out of curiosity.
Not yet.
That's so cool, you guys.
Guys, that was a lot of magic. A lot.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Let's save that for an emergency only, please.
Yes.
That was incredible, Connor says, like agape. And the tree and Razakael and Hugh, well, I guess Hugh would still look surprised by it. They all look rather surprised by this sudden surge of energy.
That was
So your bracers did that?
Yes, apparently it did.